friend turning foe, and ally turning enemy. The summer's calm is upset by sudden storms more severe than those of winter. In the absence of any enemy, we suffer all that an enemy might wreak on us. Overmuch prosperity, if all else fails, will hit on the instruments of its own destruction. Sickness assails those leading the most sensible lives. Tuberculosis, those with the strongest constitutions. Retribution, the utterly guiltless. Violence, the most secluded. Misfortune has a way of choosing some unprecedented means or other of impressing its power on those who might be said to have forgotten it. A single day strews in ruins all that was raised by a train of construction, extending over a long span of time and involving a great number of separate works and a great deal of favor on the part of heaven. To say a day, indeed, is to put too much of a brake on the calamities that hasten down upon us. An hour, an instant of time, suffices for the overthrow of empires. It would be some relief to our condition and our frailty if all things were as slow in their perishing as they were in their coming into being. But as it is, the growth of things is a tardy process, and their undoing is a rapid matter. Nothing is durable, whether for an individual or for a society. The destinies of men and cities alike sweep onwards. Terror strikes amid the most tranquil surroundings, and without any disturbance in the background to give rise to them. Calamities spring from the least expected quarter. States which stood firm through civil war as well as wars external collapse without a hand being raised against them. How few nations have made of their prosperity a lasting thing. This is why we need to envisage every possibility and to strengthen the spirit to deal with the things which may conceivably come about. Rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck. Misfortune may snatch you away from your country, or your country away from you may banish you into some wilderness. These very surroundings in which the masses suffocate may become a wilderness. All the terms of our human lot should be before our eyes. We should be anticipating not merely all that commonly happens, but all that is conceivably capable of happening, if we do not want to be overwhelmed and struck numb by rare events, as if they were unprecedented ones. Fortune needs envisaging in a thoroughly comprehensive way. Think how often towns in Asia or in Greece have fallen at a single earth tremor. How many villages in Syria or Macedonia have been engulfed. How often this form of disaster has wrought devastation in Cyprus. How often Paphos has tumbled about itself. Time and again, we hear the news of the annihilation of a whole city, and how small a fraction of mankind are we who hear such news thus often. So, let us face up to the blows of circumstance, and be aware that whatever happens is never as serious as rumor makes it out to be. So a city has burned, a wealthy city, and the glory of the provinces of which it was a feature, though it stood in a class of its own, perched as it was on a single hill, and that not a hill of very great dimensions. But time will sweep away the very traces of every one of those cities, of whose splendor and magnificence you nowadays hear. Look at the way the very foundations of once famous cities of Greece have been eroded by now, to the point where nothing is left to show that they ever even existed. And it is not only the works of human hands that waste away, nor only structures raised by human skill and industry that the passing days demolish. Mountain massives crumble away. Whole regions have subsided. The waves have covered landmarks once far out of sight of the sea. The immense force of volcanic fires that once made the mountaintops glow has eaten them away and reduced to lowly stature what once were soaring peaks, reassuring beacons to the mariner. The works of nature herself suffer, so it is only right that we should bear the overthrow of cities with resignation. They stand just to fall. Such is the sum total of the end that awaits them, whether it be the blast of a subterranean explosion throwing off the restraining weight above it, or the violence of floodwaters increasing to a prodigious degree underground until it breaks down everything in its way. or a volcanic outburst fracturing the Earth's crust, or age, to which nothing is immune, overcoming them little by little, or plague carrying off its population and causing the deserted area to decay. It would be tedious to recount all the different ways by which fate may overtake them. One thing I know, all the works of mortal man lie under sentence of mortality. We live among things that are destined to perish. Such, then, are the comforting reflections which I would offer our liberalis, who burns with a kind of passion beyond belief for his birthplace, which it may be has only been consumed so as to be called to higher things. A setback has often cleared the way for greater prosperity. Many things have fallen only to rise to more exalted heights. That opponent of affluence in the capital, Timagenes, used to declare that the one reason fires distressed him was the knowledge that what would rise up afterwards would be of a better standard than what had burned. In the city of Lyon, too, one may presume that everyone will endeavour to make the work of restoration a greater, more noble achievement than what they have lost. May that work be of lasting duration, and may the new foundation be attended by happier auspices, with a view to its lasting for a longer and indeed for all time. This is the 100th year since the town came into being, and even for a human being, such an age is by no means the uttermost limit. Founded by Plancus in an area of concentrated population, it owes its growth to its favourable situation. Yet how many grievous blows has it had to suffer in the time it takes for a man to grow old? So the spirit must be trained to a realization and an acceptance of its lot. It must come to see that there is nothing fortune will shrink from, that she wields the same authority over emperor and empire alike, and the same power over cities as over men. There's no ground for resentment in all this. We've entered into a world in which these are the terms life is lived on. If you're satisfied with that, submit to them. If you're not, get out, whatever way you please. Resent a thing by all means, if it represents an injustice decreed against yourself personally. But if this same constraint is binding on the lowest and the highest alike, then make your peace again with destiny, the destiny that unravels all ties. There's no justification for using our graves and all the variety of monuments we see bordering the highways as a measure of our stature. In the ashes all men are levelled. We're born unequal, we die equal. And my words apply as much to cities as to those who live in them. Ardea was taken, and so was Rome. The great lawgiver draws no distinctions between us according to our birth or the celebrity of our names, save only while we exist. On the reaching of mortality's end, he declares, "Away with snobbery. All that the earth carries shall forthwith be subject to one law without discrimination." When it comes to all we're required to go through, we're equals. No one is more vulnerable than the next man, and no one can be more sure of his surviving to the morrow. King Alexander of Macedon once took up the study of geometry. Poor fellow, inasmuch as he would thus find out how minute the earth really was, the earth of which he had possessed himself of a tiny part. Yes, poor fellow I call him, for the reason that he was bound to discover that his title was a false one,